They say you are what you eat, so I don't eat chicken feet. But I love me some of Grandma's pickled beets. Well, cut it up, put it in the pan, throw it over your shoulder and see where it lands right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Maters, taters, beans and corn, the cows in the barn and the sheep's been shorn, kids in the barnyard chasing Grandpa's chickens. Spices, slices, cuts and dices, gonna slash your grocery prices right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Help you grow your garden good with recipes to suit your mood. Try some grub you've never tried before. Smash it with a wooden mallet, gonna educate your palate. Right here in Farmer's Kitchen, in Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. We're gonna cook something good now.
Hello and welcome to Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
Hi.
Who are you?
Nikki. Do you remember
Nikki,
me?
do
Yeah.
you come here often?
I hang out here once a week usually.
This is my wife, Nikki, and I think you know that if you watch our show regularly. You know what? This is going to be one of those shows that people are going to talk about. I have wanted to watch and find out for years. We've done a hog killing.
Right.
We watched from the snout to the tail. We watched them take a pig apart and show where each part is and what they use it for. It's time to do a cow.
Yum.
I like my beef.
I do too.
But you know what? Let's go right now to Northern Garrett County and watch how a cow is taken from the field to the butcher shop.
Hope you brought some home. Yay.
This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I had to get up mighty early to do it. But how many of you out there would like to see a beef cut up and know every part and piece thereof and how it's taken apart? And today we have Leonard and Mark. We're in Northern Garrett County. And I have to. How do I look?
Looking good.
You like it? Behind door number one, we have. Ta-da! Boy, I wish I was taking that home with me today.
So we have Bluegrass Farms here. That's the BFW. We have an individual lot number which is assigned to each animal, and this is the first side of two sides of this beef. So this is our variety meats. We have a tongue, kidneys, oxtail, heart, and liver. Mark is writing down all of our information. We take temperatures to monitor the temperature of the carcass to make sure we're meeting USDA requirements.
Right. What happens during the aging process? What do you want to happen during the aging process?
So what we want to happen during the aging process is let Mother Nature take its place and break down the muscles and the meat and the fat and allow it to be a more tender, tasteful meat for us. So Mark just took off the soot off the beef. You notice that it's still got the kidneys attached, and the soot is to protect the tenderloin in the back here. You actually use this a lot when you go to your stores and buy bird feed. People have recipes for lard and other. So now Mark is taking off the secondary skirt. He's just lining out where he's going to pull it off, and it just pulls right out as he marks it there. You'll notice that there's a layer of skin that's on both sides of it, and Mark's going to pull those off so it makes a nice tender piece of meat that you can make fajita meat out of, stir fry. And that's what it looks like after the skin's removed and ready to go on your dinner plate. Actually, I'd never ate tongue before working here, but it's actually a very tender piece of meat once you boil it down and skin it out and slice it up. What Mark's doing here is he's going to count up 5 ribs and cut across, and then he's going to cut up another 7 ribs and cut across, and that's the way we can separate the chuck from the rib and the rib from the loin. So Mark's now going to take our brisket saw and he's going to cut that rib eye down and cut the chuck off so we can lay it on the table. So now what we have is the rib section here and the chuck section here, which is only connected by this single cut here. And he's going to cut that, and we'll move on to We're just going to set this rib and short ribs and the ribeye over here for the time being. We'll work on this chuck. And as I was talking about before, he's going to make a cut right here, and we're going to take that brisket off this chuck. So this is what the brisket looks like prior to taking the bone out. And you can see it's got a nice layer of fat, which makes it good for smoking and barbecuing. And
Brisket is in right now.
it is.
I think Mark has done this a couple 100 billion times.
He's been in the business a long time. This is go to your market.
Very nice.
Now what we're going to do, we're going to flip this chuck upside down here. And when you're looking at it, there's a blade bone that runs down the middle here, and it separates the chuck from the shoulder. So what he's doing here is he's following that blade bone up, and he's just going to mark out where that top blade is so he can pull it out. And if you was to separate this out, this is where your flat iron steaks would come from. So he's going to run down the other side of the blade bone now, and that would be where the mock tender is. It's a fairly lean piece, a roast, and it's kind of tough, so it makes a real good roast that you cook in a crock pot. Or you see as he's getting to that mock tender, you can see the seam starting to pop away, and he's able to roll that mock tender out of the pocket it's in. So now Mark is cutting into the shoulder roast here. This is a great boneless roast here. So we have the shoulder claw here, and it's really good for a lot of practical uses. It's a nice big roast, has some fat in it for if you want to smoke it. So it's a beautiful roast. So he's going to finish removing the top blade bone here. You see there's not a whole lot of trim on this bone. So what we have here is 2 pieces left of the chuck, of that chuck row. We have the chuck row and the neck bones. He's following the bone down where the neck bones run around the chuck. He's going to remove the chuck row from the bones here. This would be the equivalent of a Boston butt on a pork. So it'd be great for smoking and barbecuing, stew meats. So we have the shank that's left here. We'll cut it into 2-inch portions. It'll be great for braising. So we have cross-cut shank here. Beautiful roast. Yeah, this is kind of the prized portion of the beef here. We have the short ribs, and then we have the prime rib. We can cut it into rib eyes. We can do bone-in rib roast, tomahawk steaks, whatever you want.
Just put that in my truck.
We'll carry it on out for you. And we have our short ribs here. Mark's going to cut these between the bones to make nice portions for restaurants and retail buyers so that they can sell them. And it's another great braising meat. Well, we have their prime rib here. So Mark has removed the chine bone off of the ribeye here, and he's going to take the bones out, take the back ribs out. We're going to make this into a boneless roast. And we got our back ribs ready for the grill. So we're ready to cut it into 1-inch steaks now. You get some beautiful ribeyes. It's really some pretty steaks. And then we have our oxtail here. And I don't know if you guys have ever had oxtail soup, but it's amazing. So you would just put these little segments in your favorite soup, and it really is good. So what he's now is he's getting ready to separate where the loin connects with the round. We have the rose meat on this side, which will be going to our trim today, but sometimes we harvest that. And on this side we have our flank steak, which is a great steak for fajita meat and just for your grill. That's what the cut looks like once it's ready to go to the grill. Mark's going to lay it on the table now. So if you take a look at the inside of this loin here, you can see the tenderloin that we're going to be removing. And that was where the soot was protecting it earlier. So we'll be taking this out and making fillets out of it. Mark's going to remove the silver skin on it, and he's going to clean it up. So if someone was wanting to buy a whole tenderloin, this is what you'd be buying. So you can see we have some beautiful medallions here. So Mark now is going to remove his top sirloin. This can be used for roast, but today we're going to be cutting it into steaks. So this would be your top sirloin roast if you was going to leave it whole. but we're going to be cutting it into 1-inch steaks today. So this is our top sirloin steak. This would actually be one of my favorite steaks on the beef. A lot of times you don't have the sinew that you do in the ribeye. You can eat the whole steak. Cost is cheaper. So what he's cutting out now is the tri-tip roast off the sirloin. And it's one of those great 2 to 3 pound roasts that come off the beef. So if you look at the loin here, you can see it looks a lot like a T-bone. Then we have where the tenderloin was, and that would be the porterhouse. So as the tenderloin runs out, it becomes T-bones. But today we're going to be making this into a boneless strip loin and cutting it into 1-inch steaks. Yeah, so he's removed the T-bone portion from the loin, and so now we have a boneless strip loin. And he's going to be cutting these into 1-inch steaks. Mark's pretty good at portioning. So if we look at our strip steaks here, got good marbling. It's a good looking steak. What we're left here is the round. We're going to be separating this into the eye round, the top round, the bottom round. You can see all the seams that he's cutting into to be able to break this muscle apart. Lots of seams in the round. So what he's cleaning up here is the top round. It'll be moving on to, we have the gooseneck on this side, which will be broken down into the bottom round and the eye round. So this is for your dog if you want to take it home to your dog.
That's about Moses' size right now.
Yeah. So we're left with these 3 sections. This is the gooseneck, the sirloin tip in the top round, and there's only one thing left to do with the gooseneck, and we're going to separate the eye round out to the bottom round. So if you look at the muscle structure of the round, you can see it's fairly lean muscle here, and that's why it makes it great for stew meats. All we have left of this animal is the shank. We'll be cutting into 2-inch crosscut shanks like we did before on the chuck.
It's fascinating to see how this is done step by step, broken apart, and the animal has seams and guidelines that let you follow and know exactly where to go, and that's how these cuts came about, by following those and pulling out those different meat groups out. Here's what I'm thinking about doing: oxtail stew and smoked tongue. Huh?
Sounds good. You're inviting us for supper, right?
Yeah, come on over. Man, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And thank you so much, sir. This was, yeah, knuckle bump. There you go. Absolutely wonderful. Now we know what each particular part is. Thank you guys so much for sharing that with us.
Standing up on a roof and talking to a camera is kind of extreme. Just like Tartar Extreme Challenges. You've got a back brace on, you've got a neck brace, you've got a helmet.
We just want to see how it hold up to the real extreme challenge.
Oh, here we go. Woo! We're just testing the product so it really does live up to durable, dependable, and tough. We are taking American-made products to the next level. We are Tartar Farm and Ranch Equipment.
At Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen, we love to cook on the original Salt Rocks grilling plate. Perfect for your use on your grill, in your oven, on your cooktop, or at a campfire. Using Salt Rocks grilling plates makes an ordinary meal extraordinary. You cannot get it wrong. For exceptional tasting meats, vegetables, fruits, sweets, and more, start cooking with the original Salt Rocks grilling plate now. Order online at www.saltrocks.com or visit timfarmerscountrykitchen.com and visit our store.